Hi everyone, it's Az here from HeelvsBabyface with my review of The Mandalorian with a beautiful Baby Yoda. Episode 4, or Chapter 4. They like to call them chapters. In this, let's get straight into it. First 3 episodes have been very good indeed. The fourth one, this episode, was great. Just straight from the bat. This was great. In actual fact, it reminded me of 3 major things. First of all, it kind of reminded me of an episode of Star Trek. There was a kind of away mission-y aspect to this at the beginning, which I rather liked. Then, of course, it sort of had the Western theme, which does tend to run through this program anyway, as well as the Ronin theme, the samurai without a master type of theme, the Japanese aspect of this series as well. And I think they're all very prominent for me. And yeah, let's get into it, shall we? Because I want to talk about this. I enjoyed it thoroughly. Oh yeah, sorry. And before I get into this, on a superficial level, all those bitches complaining about two amazing female characters in this episode. Why? Because it was the right time to introduce them after the Mandalorian had been dealt with, after the Mandalorian's character had been built up and we'd developed a relationship with the main character of the series. And you could argue 3, because I really liked the barmaid. I thought she was quite funny. Anyway, let's get to it. You know, so there's a trophy for them to tick off. Now they've got to stop bitching. Reet! So we start off in this village. There's a beautiful, what we find out is a widow, beautiful widow in a village, and it seemed very simple. They're all wearing very similar outfits. This maybe is where the Star Trek away mission aspect kind of kicked in. Earth tones, people, Earth tones. There's sort of a Star Trek insurrection vibe about this. And then the village is attacked by raiders, and they steal their harvest. These horrible, nasty people coming in, mocking up their droids, stealing their fish. Scoundrels. So that's how we're introduced to this episode. Then, after the bad guys have pulled away, the Mandalorians, we are taken to the ship with Mando and beautiful Baby Yoda. And Baby Yoda is just ridiculously cute in this opening section. I've heard the debates. I've heard and seen the articles about people complaining, why is it that men are so scared of Rey being a Mary Sue, but like Baby Yoda's like a Mary Sue? And it's like, no. There's huge differences between the two. First and foremost, Rey can just do anything. She's never had to fight against anything. She's never had any adversity through the first 2 films at all. As soon as the Force flowed into her at the end of The Force Awakens, she defeated Kylo. She's been up there ever since. Oh, then next one, defeats Luke easily. She's never had to struggle. She's never had to build up to what she's got. And we've never seen her in any capacity legitimately train or grow as a character. That is why she is in that field. And then and also, she's not vulnerable. She's not helpless. She's not in need of protection or anything like that at all. Baby Yoda is baby. So first and foremost, it draws upon people's paternal and maternal instincts to protect, because it's just a very small baby. It's 50 years old, but it's still a baby for this race. It's clearly defenseless, as we've seen in the previous episodes as well. It's very vulnerable, although it has Force sensitivity, and it did use its Force ability to lift up the Rhino. That seems to have been almost instinctual to protect the Mandalorian. But did it defeat the Rhino? No, it just literally prevented it from charging. Has it done anything else with its Force? Has it like defeat everything in this episode? Knock all the villains away? No. you can still see this as helpless and in need of protection, in need of nurture, in need of help. This seems to act off instinct, or has once reacted off instinct. So there's massive differences between the two, and I wanted to get that out the way first and foremost, because at the end of the day, all it is soy cucks are crying soy tears because they're so annoyed that we don't gravitate towards a Mary Sue character that doesn't need any help, that doesn't in any way draw empathy from anyone. We're just meant to like her because she's a woman. Fuck off. Grow a set of balls, you absolute castrated cucks. Jesus, do you know who we gravitate towards? Nice characters. Characters that we can sympathise, empathise with. Characters that we can get behind. Characters that we can support. Right, sorry, ranting over, I know, but oh, it's just pathetic. We have to deal with this crap and nonsense all day. Ay. Anyway, let's get on with it. So, little baby Yoda is just being adorable in the cockpit. He's mucking about with the buttons. And the Mandalorian's just like, wait, stop pressing the buttons. And so baby Yoda does exactly what a cat does. Wait, leave that alone. When you talk to a cat, starts playing with a glass on top of a table and just like, leave that alone. And the cat would just like look at you and go, eh. and knock the glass off, because cats are twats. And the baby Yoda's kind of like, so he's like, oi, stop pushing those buttons. So he like looks at the Mandalorian and then goes and presses the button again, because it's just adorable. It's adorable and cute. So, so the Mandalorian picks up the baby Yoda and cradles. Ah, look, that is just that image. When I saw that image, that is when I tweeted out yesterday. My heart, because look, it's just so cute. It needs, you just, oh man, I don't know. My paternal instincts just going to overdrive when it comes to this thing, and it's really bizarre. But there we go. So they arrive at, guess what? Yeah, that planet. That planet that the event at the beginning took place in, and they see. The villagers see the Mandalorian's craft fly over the village, so they're just like, hey up. The Mandalorian tells the gorgeous baby Yoda to stay put, don't leave the ship, so of course it ignores him. Because baby Yoda wants to be with Daddy. Baby Yoda wants to be with Daddy. And yes, Pedro Pascal has been confirmed as definitely male under the suit. So they head off to this local town, and there is I'm gonna get all posh now. There's a restaurant. There's an eating establishment there, and this is where the barmaid comes in, and she's very good, and the big cat scaring baby Yoda, I quite enjoyed that. Freakish feet, but whatever. It's the world of Star Trek. And he sat down and he orders some food. And who does he spot in the corner? Gina Carrero. Was it Carano? Gina Carano. For those of you who do not know, Gina Carano was the poster girl of UFC way before Ronda Rousey came along. Beautiful, kick-ass in the ring as well. A lot of interest, and obviously she's gone on to acting. Was in Deadpool 2, amongst other things. But Deadpool 2 and the first Deadpool, where she was kicking ass in there as well. And this little tattoo, if you paid attention, this little tattoo under her eye is actually the rebellion, the symbol of the Rebel Alliance. I noticed that. I clocked that. Very early doors, and she's just sat there, looking a bit mischievous, looking rather gorgeous. Then the barmaid's just like, she's funny as hell. Oh, do you like some soup? Who's that over there? Oh, I don't know. Here's some money. Oh, you're so kind. Her over there. Oh, well, she came in. It was all very good. It was all very good. But the Mandalorian can't eat because the Mandalorian can't take off his helmet in public. Not allowed to have you're not allowed to remove your helmet around people, and absolutely not allow your enemy to knock your helmet off, take your helmet off. This is the way, or is it? This is how whatever. I keep forgetting what that little thing is. Never mind. This is the way. So we have this little scene where he looks back and Gina Carano has vanished. So he looks out for her and puts on his it's like his heat vision, infrared or whatever, to track a heat signature. I loved all this. I was just watching this going, God, I just love these, these gadgets that just make perfect sense for what he would be as a bounty hunter. How you track people, how you find people. I just love this sort of thing. It kind of reminded me of Geralt vision in The Witcher. CSI Geralt. So he follows them around a corner and she jumps him. And they have a fight. And it pretty much goes to a stalemate. And then when they turn around, Baby Yoda's just there with his bowl of soup going. Just watching them fight. As if Mummy and Daddy are having a fight. So he finds out that she's a former member of the Alliance, Rebel Alliance. She was at Endor, and she was part of the mop-up operation on Endor. And then she said she kind of like got bored with the rebellion after that, because then they sort of just gravitated towards crowd control and guard duties and stuff like that. Not what she really wanted to, signed up for. And so she's gone about her way to do her own thing. And he's like, well, if people are potentially on the lookout for you and they're looking on the lookout for us, yeah. And she's like, yeah. So I was here first. You got a nip off planet, mate. You got a zap off planet, which is like, and he's like, bugger, because this is a nice secluded planet. Didn't think people would be after him, at least not for a long time. Baby Yoda's behind me, looking insanely cute. Yes! Okay, so let's come back. So he's just about to head out after they've decided that, and two farmers turn up to the ship, and they're just like, hey, dude, can we, like, hire you and stuff? We've got money. It's just like, that's not money, guys. And it's like, well, we're farmers. We're not that rich, but we'll give you all of our next harvest or whatever. These bandits keep attacking us. They've nicked all our food. We've got nothing. And he's like, tough. It's not enough. It's the way. This is the way. Is it this is the way? Anyway. And then they like, for God's sake, fine. So they're just like, oh, now we've got to head back into the middle of nowhere. And he's like, oh, middle of nowhere. Wait a minute, guys. Wait a minute. I think you've just got yourself somebody's interested, because they can go to a nice secluded, in the middle of nowhere spot. So he takes the money and he throws the money down by Gina Carano's feet and says, you want to go round two with the old fisticuffs? So I've got a mission for you. So they get on board the cart and they head towards the village at night, and we see some beautiful establishing shots as we're going through to the next area. So they get to the village. This is the Star. I'm going to call this Star Trek village, because they're all wearing the same stuff. Earth tones, everyone. Earth tones. Browns and greens and reds. And Earth tones. Earth tones. God, Red Letter Media. Such an influence on everything. Then he meets the beautiful widow. And she's like, these are your lodgings. Da-da-da-da-da. Would you like something to eat? And all this kind of stuff. And then her daughter creeps up, and he's very alert. Remember, he doesn't, when he's engaged in a conversation as a Mandalorian, that is the kind of rules of the conversation. Whoever's here now, and then if something else enters the room, it's a unknown variable. So he's really on guard. So he's like, kind of almost gets the gun out and everything. And it's my daughter. It's my daughter. So he's trying to kind of learn to relax a little bit. In this town, but he's just always on guard, always alert. And so the little daughter comes in, sees the Baby Yoda. She's like, "Can I feed the Baby Yoda, please?" And he's like, yes. Oh, wait, hold on. Actually, first, before we get to that part, this was interesting. She asks him about the helmet. She says, when was the last time you took it off? And he's like, yesterday. And she's like, when was the last time you took it off in front of anybody? And he was like, when I was a kid. He said he looks at the children outside who are playing. Yeah, the kid's playing with the Baby Yoda. She's taking it. Can I feed the Baby Yoda? Can I play with the Baby Yoda? Okay. So he says, I wasn't much older than these kids here when I put on the mask, and it's the last time that anyone has seen my face. And so that was interesting, because again, it's establishing more of the code of the Mandalorians. So she's like, right, I will give you privacy with your food, so you can take off your helmet and eat your food in private without anyone watching. So he watches the kids play. He puts the food on the windowsill, and he takes his helmet off right by them, and then watches the kids as they play with little Baby Yoda. And it's I know it's quite sad, almost quite melancholy, because obviously he has this distance because of his religion that he must adhere to. And it's not just a physical distance; it's an emotional distance. By the way, he must always have the helmet on as well. So there's really cool sort of elements here. So he then heads out into the woods with Gina, and they try and track down the source of the bandits, and then they come across gignormous footprints, which is from an ATST Imperial Walker. So they're like, ooh, this is not what we signed up for. So they go back to the village and they're like, look, folks, you're going to have to leave. You're going to have to leave. It's as simple as that. There's an Imperial Walker they've managed to get their hands on. And it's big. It's armoured. You'll never take it down. And it's got 2 big guns which will blow you to hell. And the villagers just like, no, this has been our home for generations, and we're not leaving. So they're like, look, there's only two of us here. And they're like, no, there's 20 of us. You know, and they're just like, you're not fighters. You're not fighters. So they were like, trainers to fight. Trainers to do something. So they're like, all right, whatever. If this is the way you want it. So, because this show believes in setup and payoff, crazy writing. Because this show believes in setup and payoff, we start to get some setup as they tell the villagers how they're going to defend the village by putting up the barricades, by digging a trench in the water. So they're trying to lure the ATST into the water so it falls into the trench and topples over. That's the way they're hoping to defeat the ATST. They tell them to cut down the trees nearby and build these barricades, build them in such a way that they're rigid, build them in such a way that they won't be able to get through. So, they do all that, and then the Mandalorian asks who can fire a gun. Now, this is where I've heard some people go, oh, there's just a bunch of they've bent the knee in the Mandalorian this episode. Fuck off. Right, I think there is something more to this woman, and I don't think we've seen the last of her. In what capacity, I don't know. But I don't think we've seen the last of this woman, because he asks who here can fire a gun. Nobody in the village can fire a gun, because who in the village would have a gun to fire? It doesn't look like that's the way they hunt. They hunt fish by the looks of it. But she puts her hand up, and she's the only one who puts her hand up. There's something going on here with her. She's not all that she seems. Now, whether she turns out to be bad or good, who knows? But I think there's something more. I believe this. I could be wrong, but I think there is something more. It just seems very odd. Maybe her husband taught her. I don't know. It could be as simple as that. Sorry, I got an itchy eye. Maybe her husband taught her. It could be as simple as that. But I just think there's a little bit more here than meets the eye. So they're all training, trying to shoot the pans and everyone else is useless. And then she is just like bing, 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 dead-eyed with this rifle. So maybe her husband might have been Stormtrooper. I know Stormtroopers can't hit barn doors, and I'm going to go on to that in a second. But you know, but she, you know, maybe her husband was something else that taught her these. I don't know. Like I said, I think there's something about her. And then Gina starts to train the villagers in how to use spiky sticks. And it's simple movements, but when they all start getting it together, the lunging, the movement of the weapon, the turning around, it's very simple but effective. And it's like, yeah, I can believe that you can do this, get people trained up to do this in a very quick period of time. So all seem legit. All absolutely seem legit. And it shows you them getting better and better and learning from the mistakes, etc. And we then have them going out. They're saying, right, we're now going to go and get this ATST. We're going to go to the bandits' village. And then we're going to lure it in. We're going to be coming in hot. Be ready. So they go to the bandits' village. They track them. They place a detonator in one of the tents. The villagers the bandits start coming in. So like, bloody hell. So they start fighting with the villagers. They keep coming in. But eventually they manage to get out of the tent just before the detonator goes off and causes a huge explosion, which then causes the ATST to rise up. And look at these. They had a red bulb. They put a red light bulb in, which just makes it look kind of demonic, which again sort of has that Japanese Ronin vibe about it. You know, the demon. So you kind of got this demonic vibe to the ATST as it rises up. Now this is where, you know, I was a little bit. They really big up the ATST before this. They talk about how it literally carves through troops. Gina Carano talks about how it destroyed, you know, her platoon and all this kind of jazz. And then when they pull it, there's an MMO term for you. When they aggro it, it can't hit a barn door. It suddenly adheres to the Stormtrooper rules of engagement, and it just can't seem to hit a barn door. To me, it would have been made more sense if they split up. You know, one went one way and one went the other. So it's trying to draw the fire of the ATST between the pair of them. So at least one of them would have a chance to get back unscathed. But this way, it's just like one shot. They should have both really been taken out. So I was like, a little bit with that, Then the villagers are all ready and waiting, and then it gets to the edge of the pit and stops. Of course it was gonna. It's not gonna be that easy, is it? So they need to find a way to lure it forward into the pit. But again, just another thing which made me go, It puts on its light and it scouts everyone. It scouts what's in front of it. And so it can see the barricades. It can see the people hiding behind the barricades. And I'm just thinking, why doesn't it just open fire and obliterate everything? Why? Why doesn't it just now open fire and obliterate everything? So it's kind of like, my suspension of disbelief is kind of falling apart here. Something's got to happen. So before I started to think about it too much, the rest of the bandits join the fight. So now, of course, if it fires, it's going to start hitting its own troops. So now it's got to check its fire. So it starts firing in. They engage. Gina Carano says, we've got to get it to come forward. So she gets the disintegrator gun from the Mandalorian, jumps into the pit, and tries to get as close as she can to the ATST to shoot it and aggro it to come forward. But she finds herself pinned down. The villagers are fighting with their sticks and doing okay. You know, taking out some of the bandits from their training. But there were two guys in the training that were pretty useless. that were pretty useless. And they'll come back up in a second. So Gina manages to shoot into the eye of the ATST, into the window, causing an explosion, causing the ATST to move forward, falls down. So the Mandalorian is able to engage a thermal detonator and stick the thermal detonator into it and blow it up, which causes the rest of the bandits to turn around, which gives a distraction. So the two worst people with the sticks go and spear the boss of the bandits. So it's just like, cool. Like, you know, everything, all the setup ended up in payoff, which is great. Then, because there they go, they were sticking him there. Then we go to a scene which is actually several weeks later. It doesn't say so, but there's part of a conversation where the Mandalorian says, hey, a few weeks back we caused some major trouble on this planet. He's referring to the attack on this village. So this is actually set a few weeks afterwards. So the Mandalorian's been here for a few weeks. He's clearly developed more of a relationship with the beautiful widow. The Baby Yoda is having loads of fun with the kids because he's been able to play with the kids. He goes chasing down frogs, etc. And then she keeps dropping hints, you know, stay. I am into the D and would like yours. So she drops the hints. And he's kind of like, eh. And then Gina Carano's just like, what is stopping you? You know, if you take off your helmet, are they going to come hunt you down? And he's just like, no. If I take off my helmet in front of people, I can just never put it back on again. Now, this, I think, is set up again for later. I think at some point in the series, possibly, maybe the season finale, maybe not this series. But I think at some part, either in this series or the season finale, the Mandalorian is going to lose his helmet. I think he's going to lose his helmet in front of people, which means he can never put his helmet back on. So that's how we're going to get Pedro Pascal properly into the Mandalorian, instead of just doing the bodywork and covered up. And I say kudos again to him for being in uniform all the time. And not wanting to be like the actor. I need to have my face on the screen. My ego demands it. I think at some point he will forcefully lose his helmet, and therefore we will get Pedro Pascal's visage. So Gina's just like, well, just take it off then and stay with the beautiful widow and have a great life here. You know, the Baby Yoda loves it here. You clearly like it here. And he's kind of really thinking about it. He's sort of like, maybe I should. So he goes and speaks to the widow. I keep referring to her as the beautiful widow because she's pretty tasty. And he's just like, look, the Baby Yoda's really happy here. It should stay. And then she's like, well, you're happy here. You should stay. And she reaches to take his helmet off, and he nearly lets her. He lets her remove it slightly. Oh, I think this was so beautiful. I thought this was awesome. This whole bit, I thought it was very romantic. I thought it was very romantic between the pair of them. I really did. I could sense the chemistry. I tell you what, this actress and Pedro Pascal have got more fucking personality and what's the word I'm looking for? I've just said it, and then it's gone from brain. They've got more chemistry between them, and he's in a suit of armour than Batwoman's had with anybody that's appeared on her show, and her story arc's to finger a woman. So she's going to take the helmet off, and then boom! A bounty hunter shoots from the woods at the Baby Yoda. But thankfully, the shot was Gina Carano's gun shooting the bounty hunter. I tell you what, my heart skipped a beat. I was like, Carano better have been there to kill that bounty hunter. Because if the Baby Yoda's been killed, I am, number one, gonna cry for a long, long time. And number two, done. Done. And so they realise, bollocks, they've all got fobs. The fobs are here. They all know the location. They're coming. We have to leave the planet. And not just him, the Baby Yoda. The Baby Yoda's got to go because the tracking was for the Baby Yoda. That is who they're tracking. So it is ultimately very sad because they had to say goodbye to all the villagers. Baby Yoda had to say goodbye to the children. The children were heartbroken. I was heartbroken. And then they ride off into the sunset because this is a Western Ronin Star Trek series. And this was brilliant. I thought it was great. Marks out of 10 this week. I think I'll give it an 8. An 8. He just lost it a little bit with the ATST, in as much as they built it up and then didn't quite deliver with it. It was a simple story, but a very good story. Some excellent elements in it. Gina Carano was superb. The woman in the village was awesome, and we had a little bit of funsies with the barmaid as well. Great little characters. I really hope that's not the last we see of her. Like I said, I do believe there is a story there. I could be totally wrong, but I do think there's a story there. We definitely haven't seen the last of Gina Carano. I know that she's going to be in some more episodes. So how that relationship develops will be interesting. But she's a believable character. You know, she's a good, believable character as a kick-ass ex-rebellion soldier. She's a UFC fighter. When she was fighting Pedro Pascal, you know, she's using the UFC, a lot of UFC jiu-jitsu moves. And, yeah, very believable stuff. And that's exactly what you want. And that's exactly what we like. You know, we like kick-ass women. Just don't like Mary Sue's. That's all. I've gone on for a bit, haven't I? I can't wait for next week. I thought, again, brilliant. This show is just so good so far. It really is. It's just such an enjoyable experience. It's so nice to be excited for an episode of a Star Wars show after all that we've had in recent times. So long may it continue, and I hope you enjoyed the vid. If you did, do give it a thumbs up and also subscribe to the channel. Follow me on social media and Twitch for live streaming. Links there in the description box down below. And I'll be back with some more Baby Yoda next week. You take care. Bye for now.